Today, I have the great pleasure of speaking with Brian Wagner from Radical Vision. Brian went through a major setback when he was 43 and became blind. Now he can see just a little bit from one eye, and obviously his life changed completely. And the way he's talking about it and the way he's inspiring leaders, it's absolutely amazing. Enjoy my conversation with Brian Wagner. Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Business of Meeting podcast. Today, I am delighted to speak with Brian Wagner from Radical Vision, and you are going clearly and quickly understand why Brian called his company Radical Vision. A very inspirational story, a lot of elements to learn for all the leaders listening. And before we get any further, Brian, thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you for having me, Eric.
That's great that you can take the time. We met thanks to NSA and Cigar Pack and all those great people. And you have a very unique story that I'm glad you're taking the time now to share on this show. So if you want to start with the beginning, what is your journey?
Wow. My journey starts a long, long time ago. When I was 10 years old, I had a fainting spell where I had hydrocephalus. I had fluid on the brain, and they had to put a shunt in my head that drained fluid from my brain to my abdomen. That's where it all started. But I'm 55 now, so you can imagine it's been quite a wild ride. But really, things have gone awry at different times in my life. But once I turned 43, I had another situation where this cavitous malformation, or a cav mal, if you will, it's in my brainstem. It's kind of like a tumor, but it's a malformed blood vessel, if you really want to know. And that caused me to go blind. So it bled, and it caused the pressure to be on my nerves, coagulated around my nerves, and caused me to be blind. That was the most terrific thing I've ever been through, because I didn't know what my next day looked like. I didn't know if I'd be able to see my next day. So having said that, I had brain surgery back in April of 2011, and that brain surgery removed one of the cavernous malformations in my brainstem, and so I still have two others that are left in there. And in those two, they are ones that have bled recently back in November of 2020, and it put pressure on the nerves that control my voice. So I now speak with a speech impediment. Sometimes you hear it, sometimes you don't. Towards the end of the day, it's even worse. Much like my eyes, they kind of come and go during different parts of the day. So it's just who I am. And who I am is somebody that has a disability. So I encourage other people to recognize their own disabilities, whether they're visible or invisible, and to be able to know how to bounce back from that. Because some people would view that as a setback, much like you probably would. So just being able to help people in that way is really all that I want to do.
It's fascinating to me. So you called your company Radical Vision, where you went blind, and can you still see a little bit from one eye, or how is that going?
Yeah, I see 20/30 out of this eye, but sometimes my eyelid is open, sometimes it's more closed. And that really happens during the course of the day. Don't know when it's going to happen. So I don't drive. I haven't driven now for 2 years. So I did drive for 10 years. That whole experience of not being able to see well, and because if my eyelids were open, so if I open this eyelid, you can see I have an eyeball in there, and it works, but it looks down here, and my other eye looks up here. So I see double when I do see with both eyes.
Got it. So I don't know how many people that have to face what you have to face in life, and actually decided that what they're going to do is to speak and inspire. So kudos for that. It's just amazing. Did you always wanted to speak? Is it something that you were doing before 43, or is it something that you aspire to do when you were faced with your new reality?
I spoke one time when I was 17 in my high school graduation for 5 minutes. And that was the only time I ever spoke. But that kind of was my starting point. That helped me to realize that I wanted to speak. I went to Toastmasters. I did a lot of Toastmasters meetings. We got in front of crowds and been able to speak with NSA. That's been phenomenal. But I mean, as long as I have a way of getting my message out, I want to do that. So.
And sorry for asking a very practical question, but I always tend to think that I'm the average person. So if I have questions, probably other people have. How are you managing your life on a daily basis for emails, for instance, phones? Because I send you email, send me email. You got you call me. So obviously you managed to find ways to overcome that.
Yeah, I work at the Ohio School for the Blind as well, and I've worked there for over 5 years. And the stuff that they do, totally blind people do, is totally amazing. But the stuff I do, I just do. I mean, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I can't do it. And sometimes I have to go take a nap because I can't see. If I can't see, I can't work. If I can't work, I can't talk. If I can't talk, I can't have conversations. If I can't have conversations, then what's the point? Yeah. So at points, it's very, very hard, but it's what I have. So I know that I have it for a reason. I know that I've been given this for a reason, and I want to be able to help other people with whatever they have. Your question was really in regards to how do I do it? How do I do emails? How do I do phone calls? I mean, it's a big fonts. Sometimes it's voiceovers. Sometimes it's I walk with a walking cane, a white and red cane. Yeah. So it's blind man's cane, and actually helps other people more than it helps me. But those sort of things, I mean, I have to understand I can't drive anymore. That was the hardest thing. Yeah. I mean, you can't imagine how hard it was to give up driving. And yeah, I could still do it at times, but you wouldn't want to be on the road. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, there's just different ways that I'm able to get around.
Awesome. So you're speaking, you're traveling, you're in front of crowd. What do you want people to understand or to know? Hotels, function, venues that we should be aware of when we have you in the room, so that we make it as easier as possible and not basically adding to the challenge of the daily life.
It's different for everybody. Some people will need large print. Some people will need braille. Some people will need a CCTV. Some people will need different things. So you just ask if there's something that you can do to make your experience better. That means I don't want everybody to create a whole bunch of extra work for themselves just because they think I might need something. I would much rather them ask, and we'll figure it out as we go on.
You speaking, you said earlier on that you want to inspire leaders. And we basically all have disabilities, whether it's visible or not. And so when you are speaking to those leaders, what kind of message, what is the outcome you want them to remember? And eventually, what type of behavior do you want to influence in those leaders?
I want them to become more confident. More confident. If they can become more confident and not braggadocious or cockiness, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is being confident that they can succeed in doing what their job is, or possibly another job. It doesn't mean that they're going to keep the same job. I certainly haven't, but I'm in a much better place than I ever was before because of what I'm able to do. So don't disregard and discount your disabilities.
So basically, and I'm listening to you and I'm always amazed by this country, the United States of America, where people are faced, like everywhere in the world, with challenges. But I think there's something in the American DNA where you put a knee on the floor, if I can use that image, because you've been punched in the stomach, and then you say, no, you know what? those are the things I cannot change. This is the way I'm looking now at life differently. And I'm going to stand up again and fight and inspire people. And that's exactly what you're doing, right?
Well, thank you. Yes, I would say that we can all look at our past and make our own past. We have the ability to make our own past, which it seems counterintuitive, but it's true because when we look at our past and we relive our past and we tell other people about our, and we just see those things, the way we see them allows us to tell our story and tell our story the way we want it to be heard. Not, I mean, I could be sitting here and be pitiful and be all in a shell and be curled up in a ball, but I mean, would that be any fun to talk to me? No, no, it wouldn't be. So I know what is engaging, and I want to make sure that I stay engaging with whatever I do. And knowing what my past is, and knowing how to tell my past story means everything.
Absolutely. The type of group you're talking, is it small group, large group? Are you speaking to executive team? What is exactly you like doing?
It's executive leaders that are looking to inspire their team. Maybe they're doing themselves, but maybe they have somebody on their team that they are considering, to have me speak to, and I do that through the books, through the retreats, through workshops, and whatever the case may be. So.
And what is your dream in that field? Getting on the TED stage?
I have a TEDx talk already, which is on my website.
Awesome.
At radicalvision.com. So if you go out there and look, you can see my TEDx talk. But really would love to have another one, and really just want to serve more people and give them that confidence.
Did you see any difference in terms of empathy that leaders can showcase before the pandemic and today that we've been through those 2 crazy years?
Yeah. So the big difference is there. To me, sympathy is not something that I want. I've been in a situation where people have felt sorry for me before, but that's certainly not what I want at all. Empathy is knowing, at least having a sensation that you're able to understand, or at least put yourself into my shoes. And that feels good to me. That feels authentic. So in the pandemic, there's so many different ways of looking at life, so many different ways of doing anything. So, I can't say that one way or another was right, but I just say there's a lot of different ways of handling it. So, and because companies were faced with different issues.
Yeah. You spoke about your book, courses, your TEDx. Is there a silver lining with the pandemic and the Zoom, actually? And I know we all Zoom out, so don't get me wrong, but for speakers in general to reach out a larger audience, thanks to Zoom, thanks to the fact that they can now reach other countries without having to travel there.
Yeah, so right, I agree. That is very helpful to have that. I actually have a Zoom webinar coming up next Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern, where I'm going to be helping people with understanding the principles, the steps that are included in the bounce back from a setback. So that right there is one way of doing what it is you're saying.
Talking about bouncing back, what is your advice, or your advices, rather, for anybody who is facing challenges, who had experienced setback, and basically want to get up on their feet again and then start fighting again?
First, you need to, there's 7 steps, and I'm not going to go through them all here, but the first is to avoid pity and to do everything you can to stay away from that in a certain way. Another would be to embrace the disability. So you need to embrace your setback, and then find meaning in the setback, and be able to find out why you're in this situation. So that's my.
That's very interesting. is it easier to basically look for the why that happened, or what is the new purpose, or a new sense of purpose that basically that setback is providing you? I feel sometimes, when I'm faced with setback, that finding the why is quite difficult for me, and learning from it and looking at life a different way, it's something that I found it personally easier to do.
Right. Yeah. So in the two different things are, determining why it happened and finding the meaning in it. So why it happened is definitely much easier, but to understand, what's the meaning behind it, that is hard. And the meaning for me is I want to be able to help other people. I want to be able to do everything I can to have that influence on other people to understand that they can come back and they can bounce back from themselves.
Awesome. Brian, I'm really happy you're taking the time to speak with me today. And when I first met you, I thought like, wow, that's amazing what you're doing. My last question for today is about what you plan to do in the next month. So when we meet again at the Influence conference next summer, with a bottle of champagne, what are we going to celebrate?
We're going to celebrate a successful seminar and retreat services. So, that is something that I just absolutely love being able to do, to get a small group of people together and to have that conversation with them on how they can find their mojo. I mean, that's really what I want to be able to celebrate next summer when we meet.
Awesome. How can people get in touch with you?
They can either call me at 614-946-1635 or just look me up on LinkedIn or actually anywhere at a Radical Vision. My website is a Radical Vision, spelled with the ARAIDSL. So aradicalvision.com. Or if they really wanted to have fun, they can go to brianwithoneye.com.
They can go to where, sorry?
Brian with one eye.
brianwithoneye.com.
Brian with one eye.
Okay. Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. Congrats on what you're doing. And once again, very inspirational to hear from somebody who's got setback that there's always a way to move forward. So thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to connect with me, please connect on LinkedIn or join my Facebook group, www.eventbusinessformula.com/group. And please share this episode with your network. Thank you. Bye-bye.